Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Randy Gill. I'm the president and CEO of Their Opportunity. We're a national children's sport organization that supports underserviced youth with opportunity to participate in sport and recreation. And those same kids are giving back to our communities all across the country. Welcome to Opportunity Talks, and I have an incredible guest with me this evening. I'm super excited to do this with you, my man. He's the VP of Customer Marketing at world-renowned brand Yeti. Ladies and gentlemen, my friend Bill Neff, welcome.
Thanks, Randy. Appreciate it. Yeah, happy to be here. Thanks for asking for us to come join you on it. So it's awesome.
Yeah, we're just loving it. I'm glad you were able to figure all this stuff out and get on with me here. And
I'm the worst.
Yeah, me too, man. But we made it work. Here we are. I hope you're doing okay. You and the family are doing all right these days.
Yeah, we're making it through.
Yeah, I mean, we're all trying to figure out a way to stay sane. You know, my son and I, he's just to the left of me here, we turned our garage into our own archery lane. So, you know, we're trying to keep our weight, you know, sane that way. It's a little scary for my wife. But she's getting into it a little bit. She's like, what are you guys doing out here? But she's been trying to get that country boy out of me for over 25 years. And it's just not working.
That's awesome. I wish I could set up an archery range in my garage. That would be sweet.
Oh,
I don't have that, but
it's so good. We're pretty fortunate today, son. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So what about you guys, though? What are you doing to kind of stay healthy and sane right now in these crazy times?
Yeah, it's a good question. You know, we got 4 kids, so we're, you know, getting through the homeschooling, and it's coming to an end, which would be nice, but making sure school is taken care of. But from an active, you know, our 11-year-old was forcing us. We haven't done it for a couple of weeks to have some mean Foursquare games out in the driveway. So that was pretty cool. And
That's a good call. I like it.
Yeah, it was, you know, going for walks, just trying to get out of the house and get some sun, and yeah, it's definitely a jolt to the routine and you realize that there's, you know, you just have to look at everything through a different lens. So we're trying.
Yeah, it's a different lens for sure. Are you working from home these days? Yeah,
we're in week 9, and kind of our group in community marketing and some of the things we're traveling people, and we get out into these places, and so it's been a definite departure from everything, is like, you know. But even for our job, we were never one that stood behind a computer. We wanted to get out and see people and say hi. And
that's right.
But, you know, these kind of things, and Zoom has been great, and you find yourself connecting with people you haven't connected in a while. And so there's some positives to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's important right now for people just to say, you know, this is what we've got, and we're going to do our best to communicate with each other and stay connected.
That's right. That's right.
You know, let's jump in and start talking about Yeti for a little bit. We're going to talk about culture. We're going to talk about community, but let's talk about Yeti for a few minutes, because obviously that's what you do. That's where you are these days, and hanging your hat and building a really, really cool brand. And, you know, so tell the viewers that are watching a little bit about the history of Yeti. You know, who is Yeti? What is Yeti? Is it a cooler company, or is it more than that?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think so the company started in 2006, and it was started as a fishing company, and everybody kind of puts that hunt fish tag on us, but it was full out a fishing company, and it was built around a hard cooler that was used as a casting platform on the bow of a skiff, which is a shallow water boat down here in Texas that they use. And you know, I think I think the founders were like, this is what it is, and it was to support their lifestyle of hunting and fishing and those kind of things. And like for us, I can't believe there's a guy cutting the lawn in the background. It's unbelievable.
It's okay, man. We're okay with that. We're pretty casual here, man. It's
unreal.
casual.
Hang on. And
Insta
so
live. That's what we roll with.
And so for us, in 2006, we you know, Roy and Ryan just wanted a brand to help you know, support their lifestyle, and this hard cooler thing was it. And as the brand started to evolve, it became these communities that started to adopt the product started to bring Yeti into their spaces, and we've just naturally started to continue to make friends in these other places. So, you know, for Yeti, we're a hard cooler company. We're a product innovation company at its heart that continues to try and drive innovation through gaps in things that consumers need. And with that, people think of us as a lifestyle brand, but
yeah,
we're disguised as that. I mean, truly, we're a products brand in everything that we do. So
yeah, absolutely. Cheers to that. Cheers to that. So you would say that obviously since your time there at Yeti, you have seen a bit of an evolution in who you are and what you're doing. Maybe talk a little bit about that, some of the evolution that you've been a part of, that you've seen, some of the really cool things that you've watched as this company has grown. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys have been around for, you know, over a decade now, 12 years-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2006. So yeah, we're getting close to 15, and
yeah. Wow, it's crazy. So, you know, you would have seen some of these evolutions now that you've been a part of that. Talk about some of those things that you've watched evolve. You know, this is a time, and I'm telling lots of people, we're trying to have these types of conversations to say to people, it's okay, you know, and let's have some good vibes and talk about opportunity and things that really inspire. And, you know, evolution is part of that. Change, you know, people are having an opportunity right now to turn this obstacle into an opportunity of innovation. So
yeah.
You've been a part of all of that stuff. Take us through a little bit of the journey of how it's evolved as a brand.
Yeah, I mean, it really back to the fishing roots, naturally was introduced to the hunting space through functionality of the cooler and being in spike camp or out in some type of backcountry camp and transporting meat back to hours in a car and making sure it doesn't spoil. And so it gradually was introduced to the hunting based on that consumer. And when it sat there in kind of Cabela's Bass Pro sort of land, again, I think it could have stayed there forever, but the whitewater community started to pull this cooler into, you know, multi-day trips down the Grand Canyon. And this wasn't anything, I think Roy and Ryan, who are founders, were thinking when they started the company. And then in the same time, these pit masters started to pull this product in to rest meat and keep it warm. And so we stopped thinking about this cold technology and more thermal regulation. And then it just continued to evolve. And the cooler, what's so nice is in my former life, it was like you design products for specific pursuits. And the thing that's so unique with Yeti is our products are pretty pursuit agnostic. Yeah. And so it's been a real natural integration into these other places. And it isn't like, you know, if you're designing a lacrosse shoe at Nike, they're never going to introduce that product to a basketball squad. Like it just, right. It's not relevant. And so what we found is these other communities, from the surfing community to, you know, that coastal sort of sailing community to pitmasters and climbers and this outdoor enthusiasts, and just started to pull Yeti into their groups. And once we understood that there was relevance within those communities, that's when you find and you start making friends. And just like a friendship network, you take care of your friends and you take care of the people within those groups. And so we don't ever think about what we do as like we're marketing to the, you know, to a specific community. We really talk about how do we support the community. And sometimes that's print ads, and sometimes it's digital banner ads on endemic sites, and sometimes it's camps, or sometimes it's events, whatever those things are. And it looks like marketing, but really it's trying to support the things that are important to those communities. So yeah, that's kind of the lens we look at it in.
Well, and you know, right now I see a lot of comments coming back and forth from people here that they're just dying to get out into the outdoors, you know, get in their trailers and their campers. And, you know, for me, I'm a fisherman, a hunter. I kind of born and bred that way. And I said to you earlier, Bill, that I want to dedicate tonight's episode to my fishing pal, Al, who passed away today.
Yeah, that's nice.
And hopefully some of his friends and family and some of our group are watching. I remember sitting on the cooler in his ice fishing hut, in his tent,
Mm,
right? And that's what this is about, right? This
yeah, that's
community of
awesome.
fishing, this community of being together, and products that just are part of the family, products that are just part of the natural things of what you're doing. And
Yeah.
I love that about your brand. I watch a few TV shows. I'm into the fishing and hunting shows as well. And I watch Wicked Tuna, and I see TJ jumping up on the Yeti cooler all the time, you know, on and off the
Yeah.
dock. It's part of his life. That's part of what they do. And you know, this is important that people understand that you're talking about being a part of community. You're
Yeah.
part, you know, the fabric now. You're getting into these communities, and you're part of the fabric of that. That has to make you feel so good when you're building deep like that.
Yeah. I mean, it really is what it's all about. And we don't look at it as really like overly strategic, or we're trying to, it's really, I mean, the analogy is your friend group. And if you think about it on a real personal level, if your friend needs something, you help them out. And if your friend, you know, if you need something from them, they help you out. And how you treat that is ultimately how we look at you know, how do we approach these communities. And we don't try and, you know, some of the newer ones, we're super quiet and we're humble. And if I always think about like a party, like if you show up and you don't really know this group of people, but you're invited from someone else, because that's usually how we're introduced to these communities. It's usually either an organic thing we don't know about, or it's an invitation from someone that, you know, surfs and then they bring it into their buddies that are sailing, or someone that hunts and bring it to their skating buddies. And it's a natural, it's a natural introduction. And the newer communities, we're quiet, we're humble. And it's just like at a party, if you show up with, you know, a group of people that you don't know, you're not going to start doing keg stands and things like that. You're going to, you know, or they're not going to invite you back.
Yeah,
You know?
like who is this? Yeah, who is this guy? Get this
Yeah.
guy out of here. Yeah, yeah.
And that's the approach we take. And so, you know, and it's worked for us.
Yeah,
And
that's amazing. And you know, you said it, I've said it. You know, this is what we're talking about, is about community, and it's about building roots. And I'm going to tee it up for you a little bit more here, but I know I've heard you say this, you know, a few times, you know, already in the interactions that we've had together. And building roots is what it's all about for you as a person, and also for the brand. And so, you know, talk about, what does that mean to you, and what does it mean to Yeti? It's ingrained in your culture, building roots.
Yeah. I always love the analogy of a tree, and you have this sort of, if you're walking through a forest and you saw a tree and it's beautiful and it's like the leaves are perfect and it's green, and you're constantly thinking about that tree and what it is above ground.
Right.
And no one really, at that moment when you're looking in that and you're in your woods, or you're somewhere and you're just mesmerized by it, the root system in the trees is what is making that tree so incredible. And so the analogy of the bigger the tree, the wider the roots, or the stronger the roots. And so when we think about how we market and we think about, you know, the breadth of what we do, which is ultimately the leaves and the flowers and the branches and all that stuff, it's the roots which we believe is in the depth. And if you don't have strong roots, you're not going to, the tree will not grow. And I really believe that, and we all do it, Yeti, believe that, you know, you've seen brands that try and grow really quick and they get really wide breadth and people grab onto it and they like it, but they're very shallow in their roots, is because they artificially grew. And you can fall over, like that tree will fall over. And if the tree falls over, you're just not going to be, it's really hard to put the tree up. There's only a few brands that have done that and turned that around. So everything we do, when we talk about building roots, for us in these communities, it's really about building trust. And it's trust that our product will perform for you. It's trust that will be there to support you in the things that help the communities thrive. And so, you know, I always say we're not banner hangers, but sometimes hanging a banner at an event that's important to that community is what supports that community. And so if that's what's important, like our rodeo space, that is important to them. They don't put those rodeos on without brand support, and without brand support, those people within that town or that region don't have the opportunity to go and enjoy that event.
Yeah,
and so
that's it. Yeah.
And so for us, it's being there, and once we're there, we don't leave. I mean, it's just and that's why it takes us so long, and we're really thoughtful about the communities we approach. So
I love it, and that's what community really is about. That's authentic community, and the reality for their opportunity is we are never going into a community unless we're invited and we're a part of the fabric of that community and it's sustainable. And we don't do our events, their opportunity, or support kids all across the country without true authentic partners and partnership that believe in what you're doing and believe in the community that you're building. And maybe talk about authenticity for a minute or two, and as how important is that to building an authentic community when your community building is authenticity.
It's everything. I mean, and it never goes back to the brand. It always goes back to the product. And what I mean by that is the brand and the product are synonymous in itself, but we'll never go into something because we believe the brand can live there. We find out first through people, through places, through events, through the community, if the product is relevant. And if the product is relevant within the space, then we go in. And it's why, and I know, the sports side of everything is such an important part to what you guys do.
Yeah.
And it's been one that we're not exactly sure because we can't find our product relevance within the space. What we are finding within sports is places where we have retail locations or places that we've showed up in culture. We find that Chicago. So we have a store in Chicago, and we knew a connectivity point to that region, and to support the region, we got into a relationship with the Chicago Blackhawks. And growing up a Blues fan, it was everything that I had. It took everything in me to do it. But the fact that
go Blues, go Blues, champs.
I know. It's I just got my license plate holder, my St. Louis Blues license plate holder for anybody who cares.
Ryan cares. Ryan cares. He's watching.
So for us, it was like the community of Chicago is important to us. It's important to us enough to put a store in Wicker Park and embrace that community. So how do we help that community, and what's important to them? The Blackhawks are important to them. So let's get into a relationship with them. And then we're going to see how relevant, and if our product is relevant within that space. And if it is, then they can be authentic within the space. And it isn't, God loves State Farm and all the insurance companies that hang banners, and they're just trying to find connectivity with that consumer base. That's just not how we do it. And for us, it's about trying to really find the authentic connectivity to either a place like a city or to a pursuit. And the pursuit-driven ones are when our product is really relevant. And if our product isn't relevant, I'm happy to be friends with these people that, we have plenty of athlete friends, but it's usually for their hobbies. And so people ask, do you want this guy as an ambassador? He's a professional baseball player or whatever, but he hunts and fishes all the time. Yeah. And it's like, that's amazing. But those are his hobbies, and our ambassadors are the professionals.
Yeah.
And that's where the relevance sits. And one day if we ever make baseball gloves, I'll be calling that guy up, and so
exactly.
So that's just our approach.
That's awesome. One of the comments, it's who you are too. You just happen to work at Yeti. It's who you are. It's part of your DNA. That's so good. It's so good. I love that. And when we look back, at your life, let's talk about Bill for the last few minutes specifically. Has the outdoors, has sport, has recreation played any role in your development as a person? And if so, what does it look like? How did that look like? You growing up, being a part of these things, and does it translate to what you're doing today?
Yeah, it does. So sports was everything to me. So I grew up, it was baseball, basketball, it was soccer, it was all through grade school. It was we were never not playing a sport organized. High school, it was lacrosse and football. And then, you know, I got an opportunity to go work with Under Armour back in the day in 2003 to 2009. I was there, and sports was everything. So it was all traditional sports. And in college, though, and I wasn't a hunter. I didn't do a lot of that stuff. It was all around traditional sports. And college was when it was introduced to me, and a bunch of us went to the Smoky Mountains backpacking, and that outdoor element completely opened my eyes to this new style of recreation. And that was probably the turning point to an openness about what to do. And then had some guys introduce me to hunting, and that was it. And then, I mean, fishing has really only come on strong since I've worked at Yeti, and now I love it. And I'll go fly fishing as much as anybody will take me and help me.
Well,
yeah,
we're gonna go on a trip together. You get all the brothers together, my dad. We're gonna do it together, man.
That'd be amazing. But sports, truthfully, is an analogy that, and I always take football for example, because the team at Yeti, I always, you know, like everyone runs their routes, and so it's really important that, you know, everybody knows what they're doing, and you believe in everyone's ability to be capable to run their route and do their thing, because it doesn't work when the offensive lineman decides he's going to go out wide and try and run the passing route. You know, that doesn't work. The play doesn't work. It's over. And so, in the same time, in that moment where everybody starts to go and you hike the ball, you're not worrying about, you're just trusting your teammates are doing it. And that's really the way that we do it at Yeti, is like we really do hire people that are capable, and we trust them to get it done. So the analogy of sports, man, I fall back on it all the time.
I bet that's amazing. And, you know, we appreciate you, you know, sharing a bit of your story, because that's what translates to the folks that are watching, you know, what we're trying to accomplish right now in our communities all across the country is giving kids opportunity, but those same kids are becoming part of the fabric of the community and giving back. And, you know, the things that they learn and the mentors that they have, the friendships that they build will last forever. And maybe they'll go on fishing trips with some of the buddies that they played football with, you know, at the end of the day.
No doubt they will.
And go with their Yeti coolers.
That would be great.
I want to leave some time for questions here in a second. But my last question is going to be about you, the man. You know, how does Bill Neff, the man, want to be remembered? I know you've had a great career and accomplishing really awesome things, but beyond all of that, you know, what impact do you want to leave behind? How do you want to be remembered?
I've never been asked that before. I honestly, Randy, that's a really good question, and I've never really thought about it, of leaving something behind. I don't know, that the teams that I worked with trusted me to run my route. And if they trust me to run my route, then everything's good. So
building trust.
Yeah.
Leaving trust behind, leaving community behind. I see that in you, you know, and from just watching you from a bit of a distance, you know, and through some other people, you know, I've seen that part of you, and you really care about your family, you really care about your community, and leaving something behind that's meaningful. And so I want to say thank you for being with us. We're going to take some questions, but
right on.
Thank you so much for just showing your support for their opportunity and for building community at large.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. Yeah, for sure.
All right.
It was awesome.
All right. Okay. Hey, Bill, for any families or youth watching, do you have any advice? That's a tough one. But any words of advice or hope or, you know, opportunity, you know?
So for any youth watching, this is what I would say. So my dad gave me advice when I was a kid that said, I wanted to be a professional baseball player, and I wanted to play for the Oakland A's for whatever reason. I'm a big Cardinal fan, but I think it was because of the McGuire era. And that was my whole thing, though. I was pressing to be a pro baseball player. And somewhere about sophomore year of high school, like, I realized that wasn't going to happen. And my dad said, hey, listen, if you like sports, then go get a job in sports. And I remember, I was like, well, what do you do in sports? And all I could think about was sports broadcasting or whatever else. And I was like, it's impossible to get a job in sports. And then, you know, out of college, I ended up getting a job buying women's two-piece and blouses, and it wasn't what I wanted to do, but it was an executive role, and it was great. And then I got this opportunity with Under Armour, and it dawned on me that I was on the sidelines of the biggest college football games in America and working in sports, and it was awesome. And so as my passions evolved to outdoor and doing things like that, you know, now I find myself at a company like Yeti and blessed to work with such an amazing team of people driving really good passion. And so now I'm in the outdoors. So any advice would be really do figure out what, it's so cliche to say, do what you love and all that kind of stuff. But like, if you love singing and that's what you want to do, but maybe your voice isn't something you're going to be the next pop star, but there's so many jobs that revolve around those things. And I would say my advice is really do follow what your passion is. And it may not be that single thing like a pro baseball player, but there's so much around it that is just as satisfying as getting out on the field. So
yeah, that's such good advice. And for all the kids out there watching, chalk that up. That's a good one. There's a question here. What's next for Yeti? Any cool community projects you're working on?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're always working on cool community projects. But you know, we got some cool stuff in the back half, stuff that are probably not aren't baked enough to talk about. But just stay tuned. We have some fun things rolling. Rolling.
Here's one. Every player needs a coach. Who do you have in your life giving you the right routes to run, coaching you right now? Good question.
Yeah, right now I got a group of guys that I work out with that I find all of them as they're important to me. I mean, my wife Melissa's always with me as a coach. You know, yeah, and I think I think my guys at the gym, and then ultimately, you know. And my dad's always there for me, too.
Yeah,
he's always a good coach. So.
That's a good coach. Dad and Mom, if you're watching, you're our best coach. We love you.
Yeah, for sure.
Ask him, Dave Brinker. He wants to know. Ask him who his favorite person he worked with is. Shout out to you, Dave. Is that what you want, man?
Oh, man, that is funny. I'll just say Dave Brinker. I mean, there's so many incredible stories of Jamba Juice and calamari that I just can't even go into it.
You can't go there. Man, this is awesome. It's been a really great conversation. I'm going to wrap it down here. And I just wanted to say thank you so much, Bill.
Yeah, thank you, Randy.
Just for being real, just for being yourself, and keep up the great work. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the gathering in February. Hopefully it all comes together and we're all able to be together in Banff. And make sure you follow Bill. Make sure you follow Yeti. Don't forget to follow @TheirOp if you haven't already. And play safe, stay safe, and turn every obstacle into an opportunity. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thanks, Randy.